those of you who aren't up to date with your performance-based hatchbacks, Type R is the badge that's reserved for more hardcore versions of fast Hondas, and the model it's more commonly associated with is the Civic. Now in 2016, Honda launched an all-new version of the Civic family hatch, and petrol heads everywhere were begging the question, when would we see a Type R? And how good would it be? After all, some of the previous incarnations have been somewhat questionable. Well, Honda has finally answered, and here it is, the 2017 Honda Civic Type R. From the outside, it's easily distinguishable as a hardcore racer. There's these aggressive bumpers, larger wheels, and a rear spoiler that should get boy racers rather excited. They're not just there for show either, they're all there to help generate downforce, hunkering the car closer to the ground to improve performance and stability. And don't think it doesn't come without extras more commonly reserved for more luxurious offerings. It also gets LED headlamps, air conditioning, reversing camera, and adaptive cruise control. But enough about that. Where the Civic Type R is going to be a success or flop is the way it drives. After all, it's got some pretty well established competition it's lining up against. Cars like the Ford Focus ST, Volkswagen Golf GTI or Seat Leon Cupra. Underneath, it's powered by a turbocharged 2-litre petrol engine which pumps out 316 brake horsepower, mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox and front-wheel drive. Now, Type R aficionados will note that 316 brake horsepower isn't that much. In fact, it's only 10 brake horsepower more than its predecessor, and that means 0 to 60 time is exactly the same, 5.7 seconds. Top speed has increased though to just short of 170 miles per hour. Now that may not sound that impressive, but all that aero we talked about earlier, it all comes into its own when you're driving at pace. So much so that it's actually been crowned King of the Ring. It's the fastest front-wheel drive car to lap the Nürburgring. It did it in 7 minutes 48.3 seconds. One of the big changes is the multi-link rear suspension, which replaces the old torsion beam. That means it's more controllable than before. There's also different driving modes, which means that it can go from a refined cruiser to a road racer at the flick of a switch. Put it in Plus R mode and the steering responds quicker, the response from the throttle quickens, and the body control becomes much tighter. What's even better is that you can flick it from Plus R mode into comfort mode, and it makes it more supple and forgiving than ever before. This is a major step forward for the Type R. I used to run a 3rd generation model as a long-termer, and I was always complaining about how firm the ride was. Thankfully, with this latest generation, that's not an issue. Inside, the interior build quality is a big step forward. Yes, there are still some scratchy plastics on show around the centre console, but overall the look and feel is a big improvement. The seats are set quite low, but they are extremely figure-hugging, which means you won't get thrown around when you're driving it at pace. This is the biggest Civic Type R ever made, and as such there's a huge amount of space for all occupants, especially in the back where even 2 6-footers will find there's enough head and leg room. The boot will be more than enough for most hot hatch owners, with 420 litres of space with the seats up, 1,580 litres with the seats down. Only the Octavia VRS boasts more. Overall, the latest generation Civic Type R is back to its very best. It offers extremely good value for money, it's practical and surprisingly comfortable too. Plus, when you put your foot down, it turns into an absolute animal. In fact, it's safe to say it's one of the best hot hatches on the market at the moment.